Hello, it's Amanda here from Realise Beauty, and last week on Thursday I was to be a member on a panel for the Australian Society of Cosmetic Chemists conference, beauty conference. So this had been rescheduled, and yeah, I was invited to be a panelist on a discussion about palm oil. Unfortunately, my connection didn't go through. I couldn't participate, so I did all my setup at home on my home computer, no problems, everything worked, but I was working from the office on Thursday, so I went into the office, set up my laptop, logged in and everything, and was waiting for the talk to start, and it was only when it didn't start for me that I realised there was a problem. And unfortunately, because of an incompatibility issue with the browsers, I couldn't make any of my devices work. So I literally spent the whole, well, at least 40 minutes of the hour I was supposed to be talking trying frantically to get my MacBook to work, then my mobile phone, which didn't work, and even my iPad, which kind of worked a little bit, and sometimes I could hear the chat, but I couldn't participate, they couldn't see me, and it was all a mess. So anyway, I had to give up. The long and the short of it is, I ended up not really hearing what was said, definitely not contributing in any positive way at all, or even negative. I just wasn't there. So I missed the opportunity, and I was a little bit annoyed about that personally. It's my error. These things happen, but I was annoyed because I'd done a lot of preparation, and these are the wrong notes. And the palm oil situation is one that's of great interest to me. It's something that I have spent a lot of time reading about and following the palm oil situation from ever since I started my consultancy, and it was one of the first issues I dived into and have kept putting my toe in. One of the reasons it's so interesting to me is because I spent a bit of time in the rainforests of Borneo. Actually, I should rephrase that. I spent a lot of time in the rainforest of Kalimantan, central Kalimantan, setting up a research station for peat bog research with a charity. And then since then I have been back into Indonesia a couple of times. I've been to Malaysia and seen the palm plantations and have customers over there. And so and I've always had this pull to that region of the world. It's a fascinating area. I love the culture, the food, the diversity of experiences, and the sensory experience of being in that part of Southeast Asia. Long introduction, but basically I was really annoyed with myself for not dotting the I's and crossing the T's of my IT, missing the opportunity to participate in this panel. And so I thought, what can I do? I can do this. I can answer the questions that were put to us like this. If people don't want to know what I think, they can turn off. They don't have to listen. I can't participate. I can't build on what other people said because I don't know what they said because I wasn't able to participate. And I looked online and it's not been recorded. So this is how I would have answered the questions had I been able to participate and had I been given an opportunity to answer them. So here we go. So the first question that we got asked is, what are customers demanding in regards to palm-free / sustainable palm, and how do we meet that? So bearing in mind that this is a panel of people in the cosmetic industry, in various parts of the cosmetic industry, and so most of us are involved in receiving customers' briefs. So the customers decide what they want, essentially, what's important to them, and then it's our job to manifest that in terms of the science, the formula, the manufactured product, the packaging, the whatever. So it's our job to make that. So we're talking to that kind of audience. So what do my customers demand in regards to palm-free and sustainable palm? I personally if I think about the long view of my career as a consultant, the palm oil issue, whether people have an issue with palm oil or not, ebbs and flows, definitely, and that in terms of the customers I see. And that's not just the customers I see within Realise Beauty, that's also within the chatter that goes on within the New Directions help desk that I manage. So sometimes there's a big sort of push of people asking questions on ingredients, you know, are they palm free, are they not, and really wanting to know where ingredients stand on the palm free or sustainable palm issue. And then in other times it's hardly mentioned at all. On that front, I teach the cosmetic chemistry, and I teach about feedstocks and where our ingredients all come from. And I always mention palm, that palm is one of the key sources of material for chemistry in the cosmetic industry. And I have to say that in at least the last 5 or 6 classes, nobody has stopped me and said, palm? Whoa, did you know that that's bad for the environment, or can we talk about palm? It hasn't happened. I used to bring it up in the early days, so I used to force the conversation, as it were. I used to say, do you know about the palm situation? Have you researched it? Has anyone taught, you know, has any customers taught you? Have you had issues with it? But I stopped doing that just to see and sort of left it very overtly as this is where our stuff comes from, and people aren't picking up the ball. So I don't know whether that's the particular people who come to my courses are not that interested, or it's not something that they don't pick up the cue, or whether they are interested and have picked up the cue but decide that that's not the forum to discuss it. That said, I have formulated products for clients who have specified palm free. I have formulated products for people that don't. So what are customers demanding? For me as a consultant, some of them are demanding palm free, some of them are taking a broader view and looking for sustainability in a number of different metrics, which generally in terms of their market positioning does include being palm free, but it might be looking at things like you know, optimizing the formula so that it's more concentrated, or you know, can be put into more sustainable packaging or reusable packaging or something like that. So what I'm seeing as a consultant is that for me anyway, and maybe that's who I attract, that it's less about just ticking a box now, and it's more about this bigger picture idea of sustainability, and palm fits into that for most people, but not all people. Some people don't necessarily have a problem with palm, especially if it's sustainably farmed. They recognise a bigger issue here around sustainability and are trying to approach that. So the palm thing does come up sometimes. It doesn't always come up, and you know, it's yeah, that's what happens. So what is the current sustainability of sustainable palm? Now that would be a question that I would answer quite possibly in a very different way to other people, I guess, based on my interest and my understanding. So I made a lot of notes around this and around palm farming, palm farm, palmer farmer. Always reminds me of llama palmer farmer. I want to be a llama. I want to be a palmer farmer with a llama palmer farmer. I love that. Doesn't that sound good? Anyway, so what is the current sustainability of sustainable palm? Let's think about palm. So palm is one of the key oil crops in the world. So in terms of oil crops, it's there's palm, sunflower, rapeseed, soy, and that's it. So yeah, palm oil, sunflower, rapeseed, and soy. And palm oil is productive after around 3 years of it being planted. I'm not sure on the other ones. Well, I do know sunflower grows every year, and I think soy is the same. So you get a planting season, it grows, it matures, and then you crop it, and then you start again the next season. So you know, that's generally a 12-month period. There might be places where you can do 2 crops in 1 year, depending on the climate, but that's that. So palm oil is something that if you're going to be a palmer llama farmer, you would plant your crops, and you would take 3 years of management of those babies until they matured enough to start collecting some oil from it. And then after the 3 years, you could be expecting to farm those palmer llama farmers. You can be expecting to farm that palm farm the palm for up to 25 years. So that's what happens. So it's not something you have to plant every year. Dress is falling off. Oh my God. So yes, so does that answer the question? No, it doesn't, but that sets some context. Palm oil is a big thing. So it's an oil that's produced a lot. So 75 million tonnes in 2020. The projections are for 2021, 75 million tonnes. Soy oil is next with nearly 60 million, sunflower 18, and then we've got some other oils. We've got peanut, cottonseed, coconut, olive and rapeseed. It's interesting, or you might be interested to know that there's two types of palm oil. There's the red palm that comes from the so there's the palm from the fruit and the palm from the kernel, and it's the kernel oil that we use mostly in cosmetics. The fruit oil, which just comes from the fruits, is used in other industries and food, and that's the dominant one really. In terms of where we sit, just again, this is what I would have brought to the picture, which is probably why I didn't get on. They probably didn't want me on because I just ramble on so much. But in terms of industrial applications for palm, so the majority of palm is used in two places. We eat it, we drive with it. So fuel, biofuels. So they're the two biggest users of palm really. And under that, we then have, or included in a third piece of that pie, is industrial chemistry, industrial applications. So things like your lubricants to make machines work, your fuel additives and mechanical things, your paints and coatings, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, packaging, all sorts of things. Anything that involves some chemistry could involve some palm, especially where we're trying to get away from fossil fuels. So the cosmetic industry, so hang on, the industrial applications make up about a third, well just under a third actually, it's 27% I think at the moment. And out of that we've got cosmetics, and cosmetics industry takes up about 1 to 2%, with the quote was, and this quote came from Croda, that around 70% of products on the cosmetic market, cosmetic products, contain a palm ingredient. I'm not surprised at that. Palm ingredients are by far the most abundant thing in the cosmetic toolkit. But reiterating, so what's going on? We've got how it's farmed, we've got the market, we eat it, we drive with it, or power our engines with it, and then we've got industrial apps. And out of all the industrial apps, our cosmetics are perhaps 1 to 2% of that, and that's it. I'm not saying that to minimise it, I'm saying that to put it into context. So what was the question again? What is the current sustainability of sustainable palm? I would then answer that by saying the cosmetics part of the industry is highly scrutinised, very, very highly scrutinised, and it's also highly discretionary. Most people don't need most of the cosmetics that they buy or use. Sure, you could say that there are some that we need to stay hygienic and clean and function as humans in society, where we don't stink out the lift or something with our BO, but beyond that it's discretionary. So for such a small piece of the pie, people's discretionary spending ability drives a lot of innovation, and I feel, and this is a feeling rather than something I have evidence for, that we as the cosmetic industry talk about palm, analyse it, look for traceability and put in place all of this background data around our ingredients to a far bigger degree than the size of the whole market that we make sort of would warrant. So we put in more effort than the 1 to 2%, I suppose, would indicate that we should. So we make a small dent in the pie, but we're highly focused on this as an issue in general. And I would say when we say we're highly focused on this as an issue, I think, as I said, I think the issue we're highly focused on is not so much palm oil per se, but it's sustainability. People buying cosmetics are interested in sustainability. They understand that we're making discretionary purchases, that things that we don't necessarily need. The last thing they want is for them to be ruining the planet. But I think sometimes we forget that we're such a small part of the pie. not to excuse what we do there, because I think it's a very interesting dynamic and it's a very important 1 or 2% that we make up, but more that we worry about it a lot, and we perhaps use, if we've only got a pot of worry for our lives, you know, and we're using a lot of it upon this cosmetics, are we then neglecting the effect that we're having when we drive our cars and eat the, you know, choose the foods? And like I said, it's not, well, you're doing this, you're a hypocrite. It's not me saying that. I think that's how I would answer that question, which is, what is the current sustainability of sustainable palm? In people's mindsets, it's a big issue. It's something we're taking a lot of time over, but how sustainable is sustainable palm? Well, when I looked at the figures for the responsible palm industry, so the RSPO, they've still got only around 19%, of total palm oil is certified by this body that's kind of like one of the most dominant, I suppose, in the industry. So that leaves, you know, a lot, 81% that isn't. So in terms of sustainability, I don't know, I might be wrong, but it feels to me like the roundtable on sustainable palm oil may not be getting to everyone, may not be resonating with all parts of the market, because we've got a market that's growing, we're growing more and more palm. These are certifying it as, you know, as mass balance or green or whatever they're doing, and they're still only making up a small proportion. So given that they're one of the biggest and the first, and, you know, very vocal and very, like, put out a lot of information, I'm not sure that sustainable palm is making the progresses that you'd think it might, given as though this has been an issue for so long, since I started my consultancy, which was back in 2007. So that's how I'd answer that. Again, good reason I'm not on the panel. Take too long to answer a bloody question. So the next question on my list was, is palm free better because it leads to innovation? Now, as many of you will know if you've watched my videos or read anything, is that I'm autistic, and that's made it easier for me to explain my pedanticness around how words are put on a page and form a sentence. So is palm free better because it leads to innovation? Better than what? I guess would be my question back to, and that could then go on for half an hour and then we'd never get to the answer. An innovation. What kind of innovation? You know, what are we talking about? If I take that question the way I think it's meant to be, so it is the fact that people are asking for palm free and challenging the status quo, is that a good thing? Is it making us more innovative? And I would answer that and say both yes and no. So as a cosmetic chemist who receives briefs and has to develop products, in some cases, I have to be honest with you guys watching and the customers who are going to be paying me for this work, that, you know, pursuing a palm-free strategy or any other particularly intensive and narrow-focused ingredient philosophy for a product, sometimes what it does is it makes a rubbish product. That isn't innovative. Just because you can do something, it doesn't mean it's innovation. So just because we can take palm out of a shampoo or a conditioner or whatever, it doesn't mean you're going to make a good shampoo, conditioner or moisturiser or whatever. So innovation, if it is literally described as just taking palm out of what otherwise would have palm in, that's not progress. That's what I call busy work. You're very busy, you might think you're very clever because you've managed to solve a problem, make a customer happy, but what? Let me just go back to the question because I've forgotten what we're doing. Is it better because it leads to innovation? Better. I would want to define better. I would want to define that in scientific or measurable terms, because better is a nothing word. What does it mean? And I know this is just a question, but I'd be saying, well, okay, what are we going to measure? Let's use that metric to go through this exercise. So you want a moisturiser that's palm free? I'll make you a moisturiser that's palm free. But how are we going to know if it's a good one? Well, do you like it? Yeah, you like it. It's nice, whatever. It's stable, it's cheap, whatever. But What did you want palm-free for? Do you want palm-free to save the world and make the forests, you know, rejuvenated and full of orangutans again? Let's see where the non-palm ingredients are coming from, what impact they make, how this product as a whole is going to perform versus, you know, what else we could have had, a comparable product that has palm or something that's on the mass market. Is it actually making a difference in terms of that outcome? What I would also do in terms of that is allow for some of the softer nuances around product cosmetic science and product marketing. So it might be, coming back to that word of better again, it might be better, and I can accept this as a philosophy, it might be better for a brand to go palm free even if their product is no better for the environment at the end of the day, because it begs the question, starts the conversation, and makes people think about something that otherwise they could just ignore. That might make it better, but it only makes it better if then you're going to support them in that journey that you're going on to make the world a better place. It's not necessarily a better thing if you're only making palm free because that's what everyone else is doing. You don't really understand the environmental impact, you don't really care, you're not going to mention it on your blog or your website or whatever, and your customers have no idea. You know, they just think that if they buy this, no orangutans are going to die. So that's how I'd answer that one. What's next? What are your experiences in the beauty industry in regards to formulating palm-free sustainable palm? Stumbling blocks, etc., time cost. I probably wouldn't have said too much on this one because other people I know did start answering this, because this is the part of the conversation I did listen to while I was sitting trying to make my thing work. But all I would say is that my experience is that some things are easy to make palm-free. You know, if you're a chemist and you know what an ingredient does, yeah, you can often replace it. Can a customer get anything they want palm-free to perform exactly as if it contained all the palm ingredients? Probably not, but that's the case for any free-from brief. So what my customers have to understand when they restrict the choices of ingredients that they allow me to have, it's like being an artist and you're saying, well, you can only paint with purple, darling. You know, it's that kind of thing. If you can only paint with purple, you can only make a purple picture. Back to the Palmer Llama Farmer. Same with palm free. So if you're only going to give me, you know, 5 ingredients instead of 50, I can only make 5 ingredients worth of innovation. So as long as people understand that, yeah, no problem. But that's how I'd answer that. It's like that. In terms of time, cost, etc., you know, you just have to manage them, don't you? You just have to manage them. It is harder, but I think it also comes back to customers' expectations. Setting customers' expectations is harder with palm free because people don't understand the value of what they're leaving out, because they often don't understand how a cosmetic product is made and what cosmetic ingredients are. So it's always easier to say what you don't want than appreciate what you're getting. Next question. Oh, what is this? Is this a long question? How does our industry of chemists and suppliers respond to the changing ingredient needs of our customers in regards to palm-free sustainable palm? Again, I'd probably be leaving that because I know we had Matthew from Croda there. He'd most likely be talking about that. All I would say is, well, it's obvious to me what's happening. People want palm-free, people make palm-free. You know, the manufacturers are starting to make it, not all of them, and not all of them make it explicit that these are palm-free options, mainly because the bigger ingredient manufacturers are backwardly integrated into palm, so it's not within their business interests to promote palm-free alternatives for everything, and then encourage a demand for something that they maybe know is actually not any better. And I think that's the thing. But we are getting palm-free options come up, and often it's with the smaller manufacturers, the rebranders, the ones who are a little bit more flexible and small, I guess is the way. One of the downsides, which I know someone else brought up, is often there's only one alternative, one ingredient choice, or 1 or 2 things when you want to take palm out, and that's quite restrictive and that has its issues. But that kind of thing. The last question Can palm-free sustainable palm and innovation coexist? Are customers willing to pay the increased cost of raw materials and R&D? As a consultant chemist, this is my bread and butter if I'm formulating a lot, which, to be honest, I've tried to move a bit away from because it's a pig of a job half the time. Again, not because of... It's because of what customers ask for, and then having to train them or sit with them for a long time for them to understand what they're giving up. You know, so can palm-free, sustainable palm innovation coexist? We already had that question, and I would say yes, it can, to a point. But I would be absolutely, and this is what I do, I urge my customers to think about the words they use very, very carefully. And palm-free is restrictive, overly prescriptive, and not entirely outcomes driven. What does being palm-free do? It says you don't want palm oil. Well, it doesn't tell you what you are going to have. It doesn't allow you to measure the impact of what you are going to have, because you need ingredients. I know people think of, some people think of palm oil as being the dirty oil of the cosmetics trade, and oh, when we grow up and know better, we'll look back and laugh and go, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Palm oil is literally just the feedstock. It's the feedstock that's still the most abundant. And I have been doing some more research on that, because the productivity of palm is highly variable, as it is with any crop. It depends on the soil, the environment, the weather, the farmer's expertise, the distance from, like, the time from when you pick the crop to when you press the crop, the expertise in pressing the crop and choosing, and you know what they harvest. So it's not a given that palm is this highly productive crop versus everything else. We shouldn't rest on our laurels and say that's what makes palm good, because that could be taken away tomorrow. It's just that at the moment, palm is that. You know, if palm stops performing and being so productive per hectare of field where we have the fields or wherever, then it will be something else. So what are we going to do then? Go, well, now we're coconut free, or now we're soy free, or now we're, you know, apricot kernel oil free. It doesn't make sense. I've now forgot the question. Innovation. I would basically go back to my customers and have them explain to me what are their aims with this product. What is the important thing about the environment, if that's what it's about, or is it about animal welfare? Is it about a particular, you know, region of the world that they're interested in? What is the issue? And then we would try to find something that we could measure in order to create innovation. It is our role as cosmetic chemists and people within the industry to create the opportunity for innovation, regardless of what our customers tell us. We cannot use it as an excuse, and we should push back in terms of and educate and converse with our customers about things that they believe to be really important, but we are finding, you know, intellectually challenging because of the reality of the side of the coin that we know. You know, so it's about a dialogue, it's about education and exchange, it's about understanding people's values and what outcomes they want, and then absolutely innovation is possible, but within whatever limits you get set. So that's what I'd say, and I doubt whether I would have had that level of that amount of time to go through all of that. But that's what I would have said. Now, before I go, I just wanted to, I mean, I don't know how interesting this has been, but I made some notes before I went, and they weren't the sort of thing that you could use, that it's not the kind of information that could have come out in that kind of discussion, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless. I did find on a website called ourworldindata.org / palm oil, I found this quote: in a large-scale consumer survey across the UK on perceptions of vegetable oil, palm oil was deemed to be the least environmentally friendly. 41% of people thought palm oil was environmentally unfriendly, compared to 15% for soybean and 9% for rapeseed, 5% for sunflower, 2% for olive oil. 43% also answered they didn't know, meaning that almost no one thought that palm oil was good. Palm oil has definitely won the award for the most talked about feedstock, outside of probably petroleum, I guess. that I feel is an opportunity for a discussion. Again, linked to why. Why is that the case? What are we trying to prove? What are we trying to achieve here? Do we really want to just be doing busy work our whole entire lives? Or do we actually want to make some change in the world, some positive change? I also found palm oil futures were trading record highs. So we've got stock market liking the palm oil, getting people rich. That's happening. So there's lots of things happening there. Malaysian Palm Oil Board are lowering their annual production estimate for the 2020-2021 season. COVID, weather, etc., etc. So the supply's going down, the price is going up. That's the nature of the demand-driven market, I guess. Indonesian biodiesel was just over 7 million tonnes of palm oil, a total national output of 41 million tonnes, up from about 1.4 million in 2015. Wow, that's staggering. So staggering amount of growth there from Indonesia. India's investing in palm. They want to become self-sufficient in edible palm. COVID has taught a lot of countries things about food security, fuel security, self-sufficiency. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we will find out, I guess. But India is wanting very much to increase its land under palm. Palm farmers, they really want to get in on that act. India is also importing about $10 billion worth of palm. It aspires to bring 1 million hectares of land under oil palm. Then we have a terribly highlighted article by me, Mongo Bay, intercropping. There's a really interesting movement around farming, and I do have a bit of a farm thing going on in my private life. I'm a secret llama palmer farmer. No, I'm not. Anyway, so I'm interested in farming, and intercropping is a thing that is becoming much more of a practice within the farm industry. So if you think of a palmer farmer, a lot of them are like, so there's the big guys, the big international guys who have mono plantations that we see all over social media as being devastating, and they're pretty awful. Then you have a lot, and I mean a lot, a growing amount as well of small palm farmers. So it's family, mum and dad palmer farmers, I guess. And what they're being encouraged to do is this intercropping, which is spreading the rows out, putting other crops in between, like a mixed bag really, so that they've got lots of different things going on the land. And the feedback from that is that it's not really hurting productivity of the palm. It's improving the quality of the soil. It's giving different levels of income streams for the farmers, which is also good. And most importantly, it's making habitat. Bad word. It's providing habitat for animals that would have been there originally before the land was cropped and then got pushed out. So this intercropping idea is a really good idea, and one of the reasons that I get really passionate about the palm oil issue is because when you vilify, palm oil, and especially if you link it to a region in the world where it's grown, you sort of paint a sort of bad air. You put a bad air over the whole farming community of that area and their practices, and what's happening in reality is often quite different and fairly progressive. And of course people don't know a lot about farming and how it happens, so it's hard to imagine, I suppose, how that feels and how that is on the ground. But on the ground, things are looking quite promising, I think, especially in terms of the way forward. So that was a Mongo Bay issue. We've got an issue in Indonesia. Kuala Lumpur was reporting this in the this was in the news in Kuala Lumpur about Indonesia pledging not to approve new palm oil permits after a moratorium lapsed. So there was a sort of like a cease on new plantations. That's now lapsed. They haven't got anything in place, so there's this bit of a window of opportunity to start again. But there's this whole movement of like, well, just we know you haven't got a new permit, but don't do any new palm things. So that's going on. Green diesel is fueling the demand for palm. Quite interesting and ironic. Nigeria is coming in on the act. So Nigeria used to be very involved in the palm industry, and then it kind of fell off and it's coming back. So I do follow some Nigerian palm llama farmers. They don't have palm llamas over in Nigeria, but they do have a thriving palm business, and especially for young entrepreneurs, people going back to the land, people, you know, this again, intercropping is quite a big thing. So that's happening, and more and more and more. There's a lot of interesting things that the palm oil issue brings up. I really don't like oversimplifying it and focusing on the marketing side or the stuff that we see on social media, because that to me is not where we can find evidence and data to support a better planet. That's where we get emotional knee-jerk reactions, and I'm not big on emotional driven actions. You know, emotions are important. We deal with emotions in cosmetics. We need to be, they're valid and they have a place, but we can't be doing or fueling innovation under the guise of it being an emotional, it doesn't feel right to have palm and whatever. You know, we have to have evidence, things that we can manage. The data, some of the articles that I uncovered and read in preparing for this were very interesting, in both the for and against the palm issue. But there's no doubt in my mind that palm isn't the issue, but the issue is around sustainability, about feeding, transporting, moving, decorating, beautifying the population of the planet, about valuing our feedstock and understanding where things come from. If anyone thinks that palm is like the dirty thing of the cosmetic industry and oh my God, one day we'll just wake up to ourselves, where do you think any other vegetable oil comes from? Where? Same issue, different field. And that is what I would have said in probably fewer words, squeezed in between other people with equally valid points to make.